Everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Monday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. Why the suddenly hot Lakers have a chance to make some noise and move up in the West. We'll explain next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcast. This one is always going to be free. It is never going to be behind a paywall. And Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 26,000 subscribers, Andy, all of whom are feeling a lot better about the Lakers than they did, say, 2.5 weeks ago, or whatever you want to go back to it, because the vibes around this team have definitely shifted over the last 5 games and actually have a very good chance and a good opportunity to shift even more, which we will explain momentarily after we tell you that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here. Rams, yeah. But let's not get too late. But it's not too late to get on the regular season action with FanDuel, because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's visit FanDuel.com to get started. That went up. All right, Andy. So it's amazing how quickly, the 82 game season full of ebbs and flows. We all know that. But like the shift from where the Lakers were in the stretch of games up to Miami to where they suddenly find themselves now, both in going from losing to winning, and then how they're winning, is one of the most remarkable little mini turns that I've seen. And we've been watching this for a long time. Like, this is not normal what the Lakers have been doing over the last 5 games, as compared to what they were doing before.
Well, I mean, it's interesting in the sense that you could look at last season. Remember when all of a sudden Darvin leaned into the super defense-heavy lineup after groupings that were not particularly strong offensively, and it did actually work for a little while until once it stopped working, it started extremely
worked until it didn't. Yeah.
Right. But that being said, I think the extreme lows of this season defensively were worse than the lows Darvin was trying to offset last year. What also I think, though, is interesting about this is it's not just that they have reversed the tone and the effectiveness so much defensively in ways you and I didn't expect, fans didn't expect. I think they did this in ways they did not expect. And there was an interesting quote from JJ Redick after Saturday's win over the Kings, where he said, quote, "I felt coming into the year we could be a top 10 defense. Month and a half into the season, did not feel we could be a top 10 defense. But the guys have responded. I mean, it's been consistent throughout the year. They've really responded to the things we've emphasized, to adjustments we made, to clarity that we created, to adversity, all those things. So I like where we're trending here. Like, there's stuff that you can see where there's real trust building on that side of the ball." And that's interesting to me on a few fronts. First, it reflects how there had been a point earlier in the season when the defense was just really struggling. And both JJ Redick and Austin Reeves said on the record, like, look, we know we don't have the typical personnel to be a lockdown defense. Like, our roster is not made up of those guys. And it is unusual to hear a player and a coach that early in the season. Anthony Davis said, like, look, we're hoping to be just like a middle of the pack defense. It's unusual to hear that many people say in so many words, like, yeah, we know we're not built for this. Like, we usually people will at least say the politically correct thing that you're supposed to at least try to reinforce or whatever before eventually conceding it on the court, if not in words. So they're overcoming clearly their own doubts that they had, but also too, I feel like the trust that's been growing defensively, it's a byproduct of the increased success, but I think it's also a byproduct of being convinced that they can do this. Like, you and I've talked a lot about over the years in covering the Lakers, like, you need tangible evidence of being able to do stuff. And now they have tangible evidence of it. And because they have the tangible evidence, they are now more incentivized to actually put in the work and the focus and the physical sacrifice that comes with defense that before they didn't actually have, because in part, I think they did not think they were capable of it.
Well, I think there's a lot in there I agree with. A lot. And one of the things AD talked about this after the game on Saturday, like there's this, in tech world, they call it, a flywheel effect of like,
Yeah, you said that over the weekend. I have no idea what the F you're talking about. What's a flywheel?
Basically, it's progress creates more progress. You build efficiencies, which create more efficiencies. Great, but Amazon, they're really into flywheels, and so, but like that's the effect he's talking about. You see it on the court. It feels good. You get good success on the court. You win some games. You feel good. You go watch it on the tape. The tape reinforces what you're feeling, and then you get the reinforcement from the staff, from the room. Like, yes, great job. See it. You see it done in action. We actually do go back and review our work, like, shows and stuff like that. There are times when you're going back and you're doing like, your quality control and your spot checks, and a show felt like, that felt like a great show. You go back and you watch it, you listen to it, and you're like, that was not as good as I thought. There are other times when it feels worse while you're doing it. And then you step away, you watch it, the next day, 2 days later, 3 days later, whenever it is that you review it, you're like, what, that really wasn't bad at all. That had a lot of good stuff in it. And so it's not always true that what you're feeling in the moment is actually reflective of the quality of what it is you're doing. And so what AD's talking about is like real reinforcement where it feels good. And then you go back and you do the work and you review it and it is good. And now you can start to build on those things. And the good news is they've been the best defense in the NBA over the last 5 games. They don't need to be the best defense in the NBA. They just need to be good. They need to be no team ever wins a title if they're 24th in defense. It just doesn't happen. But you can win it
or 24th in anything.
Except maybe like turnovers.
Like maybe one specific category.
Yeah.
But if you are 24th overall in offense and or 24th overall in defense,
nope.
You are most
certainly
not winning a championship.
But can you do it can you get to a Western Conference? I don't want to even start talking about the Lakers winning a title. Let's walk before you run. Can the Lakers advance, a round or two in the playoffs if they're from here on out, the 11th best team in the West? Or in not the West, in the NBA.
I can answer that question.
No, not the West. Got to be the NBA. Whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle, as they say.
Yeah.
Now you talk about flywheels. I have no idea what a kit and caboodle is, but here we are. They can advance if the offense improves, and we're going to talk about that, before the end of the show. If the offense improves back to more of what it looked like at the beginning of the season, and they become a upper third defense, top half, it's the very top of the middle third, something like that, then they got a shot. And I think what you're seeing, Andy, is exactly right, of them going like, okay, we can do this. And it's hard to sustain it over the course of, the next 60 games, but they got a chance. We'll talk about this next. They've got a chance in front of them to really reinforce some of the good stuff that they've been doing over the last 5 games in an environment that could actually make it last even longer. And I'll explain why next.
After I also tell people really quickly, according to a search, kit and caboodle originates from the idea of kit, meaning according to just the first thing that came up in a search.
AI.
AI overview. The phrase kit and caboodle originates from the idea of a kit meaning a collection of items, that makes sense, and caboodle, which is thought to be derived from the Dutch word bodel or boedel, meaning property or estate, essentially referring to the whole lot or everything included. Now on to our sponsors. Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Skylight Frames. Do you struggle to find the perfect gift during the holidays? Maybe gift giving isn't your love language. Are you buying for someone that has everything and just seems unpleasable? You know who that person is. You don't need to say it. We're all thinking of at least one person. We got the perfect gift for you. Skylight Frame.
Shoot, did I say that out loud?
No, that's not true. You wouldn't get me anything. Skylight Frame is the touchscreen digital photo frame. Yeah. Let me read. Skylight Frame is the touchscreen digital photo frame that your whole family will love. Upload thousands of photos with your phone. Watch them appear in seconds. It's easy to use. Setup is less than 60 seconds. Invite friends and family to easily share photos via the free Skylight mobile app or email. No account or subscription is required. It's the fastest, easiest way to keep loved ones in the loop. They offer free 120-day returns. It's a top-rated brand recommended by the Today Show, Forbes, New York Magazine, and more. And now, as a special limited time offer for our listeners, you can get $20 off your purchase of a Skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/NBA. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/NBA.
Okay, so one of the things, Andy, and just a quick reminder, subscribe to the newsletter. If you're watching on YouTube, it is in the bottom right-hand corner, the free daily newsletter. Go to lockedondaily.com and you subscribe, click on Locked on Lakers, have the show delivered to you every day, along with extra analysis, both from us and also from around the network. So it's a great way just to keep up every day with the NBA in your inbox. And by the way, when you subscribe, because we ask you to, it kind of helps us out. So please do that. A lot of what the Lakers have done recently has been on the road. Like, they have made this progress. You know, they just took 2 games from Sacramento on the road. They've been playing this defense on the road. They have an opportunity in front of them, not even to get, before we get too deep into like all the way through the end of January, just in the next 6 games. This is what the Lakers have. The Pistons tonight. The slumping is a mild word for what the Warriors are going through,
and seemingly a lot of infighting going on.
Yeah, it is not Locked On Warriors is probably has a similar vibe to what the Locked On Lakers podcast had after the Miami game.
Well, it's never good when your coach in a post-game presser says everyone needs to just knock it off and pass the ball to Steph. Stop being a bunch of idiots. Like, that's never a good sign things are going well.
It's not. No, it's not. not healthy. So that's on Christmas. That is a road game, but against a team that is not performing particularly well. Then you have the Kings at home, and then you have the Cavs at home, and the Blazers at home, and the Hawks at home. So over the next 6 games, play 1 time on the road. That 1 game is against a team that is slumping hard. Other than that, you only have 1 game against a team that would be considered anything but mid, and that would be the Cleveland game. So in 5 of your next 6 games, 5 of them are at home. The 6th is against a slumping team. It is not crazy to say the Lakers should win 4 of these games. It's not crazy to say it's very possible that they could win 5. If you win 4, the Lakers are 20 and 20 and 14 at that point. 6 games over 500, with a reasonably favorable rest of January coming up. And I won't even get that far. Like, that will bump them up. They finish Saturday or the weekend 6th in the conference. You win 4 of your next 6, you're at the very least still probably 6th. You may be bumped up maybe to 5th, maybe to 4th. And suddenly you find yourself with a little bit of breathing room and back to feeling like you are one of the better teams in the conference. It is a very winnable stretch of games after, that horrible stretch that they had earlier when they played like 2 weeks worth of games in 9 days.
The best and the worst thing about the Western Conference at the same time is that things can change in a hurry when it comes to the standings. And that cuts both ways. You go on a very normal 2-game losing streak, and all of a sudden you can find yourself from...
That's not even a streak. That's just, right. You just lost 2 games in a row.
You lose 2 games in a row, you can go from being the 5 seed to the 11 seed. Flip side is you win 2 games in a row, you can go from being the 11 seed to like the 4 seed. Like, it's pretty nuts what's going on right now. Like, the Lakers are only 2 games behind the Mavericks for the 4 seed. And that's with all of the turmoil that, has been well documented on this show, leading up to the last 5 games where all of a sudden they look like the bad boy Pistons. Like, things, Phil Jackson used to say, things can turn on a trifle. This is the trifle conference right now. And if you take care of the opportunities in front of you, A, you can put yourself in a good place, but B, you safeguard against the inevitable losses that are coming in just over the course of 82 games. You're going to lose to quality opponents. This West is really difficult. So it is extremely important to not have, say, a second night where the Pistons, for whatever reason, sneak up on you.
Yeah. And look, the Pistons are not terrible. The Pistons are not a garbage team. They are better than that this year. But they're 4 games under 500, and they're a sub 500 road team, and you just lost to them. So, like, they shouldn't sneak up on you. Like, had they beaten Detroit the first time, you might be able to say, stuff happens, trap game, or whatever it might be. No, you lost to them already. So, like, the idea that you would lose twice, they're not the Hornets, or the Bobcats. I mean, from back in the day where Lakers simply could not beat that team. And what I really like about this stretch is that, when you get home, it's just easier to keep refining things that you are succeeding at. They can sneak a practice or two in what they, that you can't do on a road trip. It's just not really feasible.
Or it's easier just to do shoot-arounds at home, at the very least.
You're in your own, and you tend to play, Gabe Vincent, who has played, quite well over the last, few games. Role players like him, Dalton Knecht, whose splits are intensely bad when you look home and road. He ought to be a better player at home. D'Angelo Russell. I go down the road, the roster here. So you have an opportunity to play mid-ish teams on your own floor, where you tend to play better, and ought to be able to kind of continue this trend of good defense and actually maybe repair some of the offensive stuff. Because what I want to see from the Lakers, Andy, is some level of consistent identity. And that identity can be a team that's primarily offensively built. That's okay, as long as they meet the bar defensively. Like, they need to find some level of okay, this is what we're going to be night to night, because you can't have these swings where you go from one of the best offensive teams in a tire fire defensively to a tire fire at everything, to still bad at offense, but now suddenly, like you say, you're the bad boy Pistons defensively, and over their last 5 games are 3 points better in terms of defensive efficiency than the second best team in this stretch. And it's not like the Lakers have beaten lousy offensive teams over their last 5. They've beaten good, they're playing good defense against really good offensive teams. So can you find me a middle ground? Can you play 10 games in a row? Can you do through a home heavy January, Andy? Can you give me 8th best offense, 13th best defense? How about that? That seems to be a little bit less than everything else.
Coming up next, I will offer a hint, at least one thing the Lakers can do to help with the offense in ways that they have complete control over. And also because it's been my lot in life this season to be on Dalton Knecht home and road splits watch. I'm going to reveal where they are right now because, wow,
they're not good.
It's coming up next. Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Built. If you're a renter, it can sometimes feel like you're just stuck in this doom loop of rent payments and just watching your money vanish into thin air. And it's time to turn the rent game around and start earning serious rewards. That's where Built Rewards comes in. Built is breaking ground as a neighborhood rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent. Every month you pay your rent and just watch the Built points roll in. You can use those points to jet off on a dream vacation. You can put points towards a flight or a hotel stay with 500 plus airlines, 700,000 plus hotels and properties. Built has been consistently ranked the highest value point currency by the Points Guy and Bankrate. Earn points by paying rent right now when you go to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba. That's joinbuilt, joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Go to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba. Start earning points with your rent payments today.
Locked On Lakers also brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here. Very excited that the Rams appear that they will be part of it. But that is neither here nor there right now because it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, Andy, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets. That's a boost over what we've been reading before. If your first $5 bet wins, FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up the W. I'd love betting on which players will score a touchdown. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. You can figure out, whatever combinations you like to do, whether it's, point spreads or over unders or, just straight betting line, however you like to do it. Guys are going to score touchdowns, prop bets, whatever you find enjoyable in terms of putting a little action on a game. It is thrilling to do for you. Not only you can bet on who wins the game, but again, prop bets, who's going to score a touchdown, how many points each team will score, basically whatever you can think of. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance for $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook sponsor of the NFL.
Okay, so the latest look at Dalton Knecht's home and road splits from behind the arc. We've mentioned throughout the season they've been pretty dramatic, but wow. Heading into tonight's game at home, so perhaps a good sign versus the Pistons, Dalton Knecht, 46%, 46.2 from behind the arc on a little under 5.5 threes per game. On the road, a little bit less than 4.5 threes per game, 28.6. That is nearly a 20% swing. That's crazy. Like, that is stark. One of them, he looks like a Splash Brother. The other one, he looks like somebody who has no business taking threes at all. He
looks like a Kamenetsky brother. In the other
yes, and well played. Yes, he does. I mean, damn. Damn.
Look, and, he played 5 minutes in Saturday's game, and it wasn't like a 5 minutes. We're like, come on, Darvin, come on, JJ, get back out of what.
Totally unfair to blame that on Darvin.
No, it's not. But it's just a force of habit of like, why aren't you playing X player, Darvin? There was no point in that game where I was like, why isn't Knecht playing? Because what they're doing, it's like, here's the thing, or at least here's a thing. We get a lot of people, talking about different players the Lakers could have drafted, not this year, but, the year before, the JHS draft. And, you look at different guys, Cam Whitmore, for example, slid in a big way all the way down to Houston as a guy who was going to be, considered a high lottery pick for a lot of teams. And, showing a lot of potential, could still be a very good player. Houston is quite good this year. Cam Whitmore is barely playing. And
with the G League than the big club.
And so, and I say that again, not to say that Cam Whitmore sucks or is a bust or whatever, but to point out that on good teams, it is hard for young players to break in because the acceptance and the tolerance for mistakes is very low. And so the Lakers think of themselves, if nothing else, as one of those teams, and they don't have a lot of space. They really don't have a lot of space to accommodate Knecht if he's not going to be doing the stuff that he's really good at well. If he's not going to be shooting, if he's not going to be, putting up a lot of points and being a threat offensively, then, his defense becomes a problem and all that stuff. So if you're a team that right now that's winning entirely based on defense, it's going to be harder to get Knecht on the floor. That said, they are a better team if Knecht is part of what they're doing offensively and part of what they're doing in their rotation. So they got to figure that out. They got to find a way to get him going again. And, I look at what they have in front of them as, if it's sort of like there are a lot of ifs, like if they can get him, if they can play something like this defense going forward and get the offense going, something like what it was at the beginning of the season, that's a lot of Knecht, but like it's Gabe Vincent is making the need for them to rely on Knecht lower, as part of the reason they needed Knecht so badly early was because Vincent was terrible. If Vincent's not terrible, it mitigates some of the need for Knecht to be really good. And, this is a good problem for Redick to have, is where suddenly you have more players in your rotation that are playing, that you want to be able to play than spots to play them. Max Christie, the impact that he's had on the defense and the trickle down effect there in terms of what that's done has been great. And LeBron and, the extra 15%, they even talked about this on Spectrum, the home network of the Lakers, like LeBron being 15-20% more engaged defensively. It's the home network talking about basically, because implicit,
honestly, 15 to 20% feels like you're rounding down a lot.
I may be, but whatever the number is,
them, not you,
right? I said the other night before I heard them say, even before hearing that, like he looks like you're getting 10, 15, 20% more out of him on that side, and that's kind of what you need. And it doesn't,
I just mean I think it's more than 10 to 20%.
Maybe I think you're probably right.
60% more,
maybe. But whatever the number is, the point is like they're implicit in that statement. Andy, is like you're saying like kind of wasn't so engaged before, and this is the home network of the Lakers acknowledging this. All of these
things, they bring us on because we can say it,
right?
That's why they. No, it is. I mean, I'd like to think they think we do good work and we're entertaining and all that stuff.
Tell a lot of jokes. They're flying.
But every now and then we're brought in because we can speak a little more.
Somebody's got to say that thing that needs to be said. Yeah. There's no question.
We say it gently in a way that won't offend anybody, but we say it.
And then they don't invite us back for a month.
No, they do.
They have us back. They are really have always been quite nice to us over there.
Yep.
So now all of a sudden you have Cam Reddish, who, good God, people, like, listen, if the very least, if you're going to continue to rip on me for my Cam Reddish hatred, at least listen to what I'm saying. What they've got Cam doing now is a perfect role for him, where it does not matter if he doesn't score, where he can be fully engaged on defense and focus on nothing but defense and, clean up around the rim, finish on the break, whatever it might be. But he doesn't have to take it, take wide open threes if you're there, but doesn't have to, and they can deploy him strategically at times when they are most likely to get a positive outcome for the team, for Reddish, where it works for everyone. He's now slotted in a great spot. So now all of a sudden you have competition and Dalton Knecht is getting squeezed. That sucks for Knecht. It's a thing that Lakers have to figure out because the development of Knecht is really important. But it's a really good problem for Redick to have, and it's an indication that the whole is functioning better than it was earlier in the year.
And in the meantime, I mentioned earlier in the show that I had a suggestion that is completely within the Lakers' control that could at least add 3, 5, maybe 6 extra points per game and, juice the offense a little bit. We've talked about the offensive struggles of late. Make your fourth quarter free throws. And I emphasize fourth quarter free throws because the fourth quarter has become a problem for this team. Like Anthony Davis gets a lot of this focus, most notably Saturday night against the Kings. He missed 2 critical free throws. Thankfully, Rui Hachimura got, the tip out of the 24-25 season so far. Austin Reeves ended up going to the line. He sank both of his, and that iced the game for the Lakers. And we've seen there's been a few occasions where Anthony Davis has had problems in the fourth quarter with free throws. And it is a thing. Like he is shooting about 6% lower in the fourth quarter than he is in the regular season. He's about 78% on the season, 71% in the fourth. He's a career 79% shooter. So clearly that is a thing. But the bigger problem for the Lakers is he's not the only guy. The Lakers as a team shoot 78% at the line. That's pretty good. They go down to 72% in the fourth quarter. LeBron this season drops from 75 on the whole, 67% in the fourth quarter. Austin Reeves drops from 79% on the whole to 73% in the fourth quarter. Rui Hachimura, albeit pretty small volume, goes from 80% on the season to 75% in the fourth quarter. Like D'Angelo Russell is basically the only scorer whose free throw percentage goes up, but he's such a low volume free throw shooter.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he goes from like 84% on the season to 90% in the fourth quarter, but he is not somebody who gets to the line much, period.
It starts with LeBron and AD. Those are your
and Reeves. And Reeves. It starts with those 3.
LeBron, AD, and Reeves are the 3 guys who get to the line with frequency that,
and all 3 of them drop like
point.
6 to 8% in the fourth quarter. It's not acceptable, but also, like I said, it is in their control. Like free throws are the most controllable ways a player has to score points. And all 3 of them are good enough to. It's not like the Shaq I make them when they count thing, which sometimes he did, but sometimes he missed an awful lot that counted too.
I
know what you're going to say.
They all count.
Sure, but I'm just saying, even if you stipulate that the only ones that count are the fourth quarter ones, he missed an awful lot of those too.
Yeah.
The
Rui Hachimura tip out thing was great. It was one of the, it's a galvanizing moment. We talked about in the last segment, like stuff that looks awesome on film and gets people really excited about what you're doing, putting in the extra efforts and, your first effort, second effort, third effort, doing things. I said this the other night, like, I think part of the reason that play was so effective, it's a regular season hustle play. In the playoffs, maybe that doesn't work because, Alex Len, Sabonis, like you're just a little more heightened about stuff like that. But you win games in regular seasons. You win games in the regular season based on plays like that, where you put in just a little bit more effort at a time when the other team is not expecting it. And they're just not expecting the hard crash on a missed free throw in that situation. And so that is going to look awesome on the tape. It's going to get everyone excited. And it would have been 1,000 times better if it was never needed because he made both of those free throws and they were up by 4. Like that moment should not have happened. And you risk Franz Wagner hitting a 38-footer or whatever that was to lose a game when you don't make your free throws, and to have lost that game on Saturday after such a nice defensive effort would have been depressing.
Yeah. So again, that's there are other things we can break down, and I'm sure we will, like looking at the sample size as it gets bigger, if the offense doesn't start turning around, like what's going on. But that's one way that they can fix on their own. Just do better in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, sign up for the newsletter, lockedondaily.com. Go to Locked On Lakers, click on that, and then all of this is delivered to you every day along with extra analysis. It's helpful to us, so if you wouldn't mind. Yeah, we're going to be back after the Pistons game. You can check out the postcast with Dave Pele, and of course, our show, our regular show to follow. Locked On Lakers on YouTube, so we can go hang out with over 26,000 subscribers. We'll see everyone after the game.